Hi, I'm Stephen Santilli, Assistant Superintendent at the Egg Harbor Township School District, and we're back with another edition of Every Hand Together, Pursuing Public Health. Our topic today is focused on nutrition, and our first guest is Tiffany Rios, who works for Shore Physician Group. Welcome, Tiffany.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, we want to dive right into our first question. Our first question for the audience is your role as a dietitian, and can you just give us the basic background of what a dietitian does?
Yes, so a dietitian does an assessment on the patient. They usually look at their history. So we're looking at what the doctor's written about them. We're looking at their labs, all of their lab work. We're looking at what they eat, and really just, especially in my setting, gaining a rapport with that patient, so getting to know them and what they want to learn or get out of the appointment.
Okay. So, I mean, I look at this as, and a follow-up to that is, I look at this as almost like part of customer service. You talked about relationships obviously being very important.
Yeah.
But what made you want to get into this profession?
It's a great question. So I was actually a business major. I went to Rutgers, and I was taking nutrition electives and really enjoying them. And I thought about becoming a dietitian and majoring in nutrition, but I was scared of all the science. And then I had a kind of a tragic situation happen. My father passed away from a heart attack. So it just all came clear to me that really my purpose was to help people prevent things like that from happening through proper nutrition, and also to help people live a high quality of life, because I truly think that when you eat well, you feel well, and that makes everything else perform well and do better. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, oftentimes you hear the term thrown around, nutritionist. Mm-hmm. Can you explain the difference between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist?
Yeah, so a registered dietitian is certified by the CDR, and the associations require that you have a bachelor's degree in nutrition, and also that you attend an internship, which is a 6 to 12 month internship, a supervised internship in a hospital setting, and then you pass an exam. So once you've passed the state exam, then you're able to become a registered dietitian. So the traditional roles of a dietitian are in the hospital. Okay. That's usually where you start, because you get a wide, gamut of what's out there in terms of renal and diabetes, and but you get to see a wide variety of conditions and how you can help treat them. So you usually start inpatient and then work outpatient. And outpatient, like we were talking about previously, outpatient is when the patient's left the hospital and now it's time to start implementing the changes. Mm-hmm. So you're really able to help them more focused on an outpatient basis, because you're getting more time with them and they're seeing you more regularly.
Let's say I was going to be a patient of yours, somebody that was going to regularly see you. That first initial visit, what would I expect?
That's a good question. So usually the first visit, I've done the backhand research where I've looked at all of your doctor's notes and your lab work, so I'm pretty, up to date on what's going on with you, clinically. Yeah. And then my job, the first appointment, is to find out what you want out of the session. So usually people come, wanting some kind of change in their life. They want to feel better. A lot of people want weight loss. In my specific work, people want to control their blood sugars, because when your blood sugar is out of control, it damages your organs and tissues. So I usually start by just talking to them and gaining rapport, kind of like we're doing now. Okay. Building a friendship, building trust, and then from there, I can give them tips and really help them to devise some kind of a plan that's going to get them on, the track that they want to be on.
So part of that, again, is relationship building, but it also sounds as if it's a lot of collaboration. So collaboration between you and also your customer, your client, in regards to what they want to get out of, their visits with you.
Absolutely.
Speaking of visits, I'm sure everyone is different, but that initial visit is one thing, and you've already done all that background and you're prepared to have that conversation. But what would the follow-up visits look like, or how long would somebody actually work with you to get healthy, get back on track?
Yeah, it really depends on the person. So the first visit's about an hour.
Okay.
And then the second visit's usually 30 to 45 minutes, depending. Sometimes they end up being an hour too.
Okay.
But basically, the second visit, the first visit, I'm giving them a lot of goals. So, or actually, as you said, we're collaborating to create a plan. So we usually have some goals that we're going to follow up on at the follow-up. And I see how they're doing. And typically, especially if they've just started implementing these things, there's going to be some stumbling blocks. So that's where I come in and help them to revise the plan and to add new things to the plan.
Okay. Let's talk about resources. What are some available resources, whether in the community and the work that you're doing with your clients, and also possibly for schools?
For just learning about nutrition?
Yeah.
Well, the government website has a good, Michelle Obama created the plate method.
Okay.
So I go on that quite often. And also Harvard Nutrition has a lot of good resources as well.
Okay.
So typically I will refer people to those types of websites. Depending on, with nutrition, it really just depends on what you're looking for. So if it's like a kidney issue, I would relate them to DaVita.
Okay.
DaVita is like a well-known kidney resource. And also if it's a heart issue, it would be American Heart Association. So it really just depends on what they're looking for to learn more about.
And in terms of healthy snacks, I think some of our viewers might be thinking, all right, I'm a parent, and you're going to the food store, and of course, all that great stuff, or not so great stuff, is of course eye level for every child, and that's usually what they're gravitating towards. But just to help out our parents, what are some healthy snacks that you might suggest that they can just do, that are affordable, that are quick, that they can either send to school or just have at home?
Well, the most affordable thing is going to be real food. So, shopping around the perimeter and sort of getting kids used to just picking up fruit, I think, is the easiest thing. An apple, a banana, a string cheese. Usually a snack should be something that's nourishing, so high in protein, high in fiber. That's just going to help hold you over to the next meal. Nothing super heavy. So I think a fruit is a really good snack, or even something like baby carrots or cucumbers.
Okay.
So the hardest thing is having them, for what I've seen is the hardest thing is just having them cut up. So if you can cut up like bell peppers and cucumbers and baby carrots and just have those in little bags for your kids, it makes it much easier that when they're hungry to give them those snacks.
Okay, so it sounds like some prep work.
Yeah.
And trying to focus on just really produce and all those healthy options that I guess sometimes aren't always easy, but trying to build that into somebody's schedule to say, I'm going to put aside an hour, and this is what I'm going to do on this hour, to set aside time to create those healthy options for their children.
Exactly. And then there's some, I realize that kids are also going to want some snack foods. So I do have a lot of replacement suggestions. So instead of getting like a Ritz cracker, there's a healthier cracker that I would recommend. Like Mary's Gone crackers are really good. They're made from quinoa and flaxseed and things like that. So, I really think that kids will eat what you give them.
Okay.
So if you just continue to present it, but again, it's something that's an evolving process. It's not overnight. So, but the banana, I really like a banana with peanut butter. Kids usually like that a lot. And fruit, string cheese, nuts, things like that are easy.
And it also, I think, a part of this, and as you're giving those options, I'm also thinking about the parents and people that may be watching, whether parents or grandparents, and trying to come up with those options. I think a lot of it has to do with modeling as well. So if we want our children to be healthy and create that healthy lifestyle in the home, I think that we also have to model it. And I think that's part of the not necessarily issue, but part of the responsibility, of course, of a parent or grandparent to say, hey, you know what, I'm also going to have that peanut butter and banana snack, or the carrots, or whatever it might be, rather than having something on the
In my first appointment, back to that other question, I usually go through a list. I developed like a list of all healthy foods. And the first thing people usually tell me is that, I eat so bad. I don't want to, I don't like eating this. I don't like eating that. I'm like, okay, well, just do me a favor. Let's fill this out. Just circle the foods that you like on this list. And usually they like over 10, 15 things on the list. And then we have something that we can work from. So I think starting there with your kids too is like, all right, well, what foods do they like that are healthy? Maybe they do like the string cheese. Maybe they don't like the celery right now. That could come down the road. And getting them involved in the kitchen is good too. Like I remember one of my friend's kids was having kind of a tantrum, and so I was like, hey, let's make some healthy cookies. So we made, from like peanut butter and oats and banana, we made these really great cookies that were low in sugar, and they loved it. So making smoothies, there's so many things you can do to get them involved, and I think that's really beneficial because they feel a part of it too.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. If someone wanted to get in touch with you to either become a client or find out more information, how would they do that?
So you can email me at trios@shorephysiciansgroup.com.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.